Yeah, so I'm at piano lessons. I'm going to spend most of the time sewing up some mechanics wear gloves that are, after like a month, are just completely falling apart. And I'm talking a month of light duty, and I'm going to make a video about them gloves because it's not the first pair I've had just utterly fall apart for, without real use or abuse after, very little time. But anyway, there's been a lot of drama over at the Everyday Carry Forum, and I apologize for the sunglasses, by the way, but the sun is right in my face, basically. And with the snow, it's pretty bright driving. Anyway, so yeah, back to the drama over at Everyday Carry Forum. It's not the first time it's happened. Several years ago, there was a purge, and a lot of really fine folks left for a variety of reasons. And it's not up to me to, ultimately decide what's good or bad for that forum. It's not my forum. I get that there's rules. I get that the rules are in place, prior to any of us being there, and we all agree to them. But for a long time, the rules have been pretty slack. And, we kind of all get used to that. And it's, at the end of the day, it's John's forum. He can, you don't have free speech rights inside of my house. And you don't have free speech rights inside of John's house. So, his house, his rules, I get all that. But on the other hand, I don't have to play there. I love that place. There's a lot of really fine folks there. I've spent countless hours, trying to be entertaining, trying to be informative. Sometimes, yes, even trying to be provocative and educational for things other than gear. And most people don't know this, and not to toot my own horn, but I've participated in a lot of things, some of it known and a lot of it unknown, that have benefited the membership and the forum and John, in ways you can't even put a number on. And again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I would have done that for any of my friends in real life or online. So and I'm not the only one, by the way. There's tons of good people there that have worked on all sorts of projects, all sorts of levels, contributed all kinds of different ways to make Everyday Carry Forum a special place. But, after the last purge, a lot of people left. I left. Eventually I came back because really it's the best place. But, now it's like, I personally think that most of this drama is started by a small, possibly a singular minority. And that's just my belief. I'm not going to mention any names. But that person's not a fan of mine. And although I try to be cordial and considerate when speaking to him, which I don't anymore speak to him, it's not reciprocated. And I think the person's a real tool, to put it mildly, but that's what it is. And I'm not saying I'm never ever going to come back to that forum, but for the time being, I think it's really a lot of BS. I mean, you can't allow stuff to go on for years and then suddenly be like, yeah, you guys can't do that anymore. And I think it's pretty ridiculous. And I don't really understand the rationale. I saw a post by Karen before I left to come here saying that, in part, I'm paraphrasing, that it's not, the personal threads where there's a lot of blogging and chat room and shenanigans and fun and laughter is not conducive to a family-friendly new member it's not very welcoming, I guess is what she was saying. But that's like ridiculous. Like if somebody wants to know about a knife, a new member, to be honest, it's all been asked before, and they don't search for the answer. They post a new thread and they go like, "Hey, I have $20. What's the best flashlight for $20?" They don't search around looking for that. And I don't know, but I think like most people probably go to the personal threads because for better or for worse, the regulars that have personal threads that get a lot of views happen to be characters. Like, I'm a complete character. I'm not saying I'm entirely fictional. T.H.Cone's not a fictional person. I'm a real person, but I'm a little bit of a character. I have a sense of humor that's misunderstood a lot of times. I have very strong feelings about gear and politics and philosophy and life. And like all of that spills over into my personal thread. And it's just natural. Like to think that people stick around because they give I was going to say the S word for poo, but I'm not going to. I've been trying to cut back on my salty sailor talk. People aren't sticking around for that stuff. Like, they stick around, as the U.S. network used to say, characters welcome. And it doesn't matter. Like, obviously, we all know who the regulars are. But that's, they try to make it fun. And the regulars were always, like, the first to welcome people into the fold. Nobody ever got turned away. Nobody was ever, like, not welcomed with open arms. I think that's like, I reject the whole premise that threads that are not, personal threads I'm talking about, that are not strictly about gear are somehow a turnoff. I just completely reject the premise. But again, it doesn't really matter what I think because it's not my forum, okay? I'm just some dude who wasted a lot of time talking about gear and other stupid crap online on one forum. And I guess it's it is what it is. It's a little upsetting. And every once in a while you see Gnarly stick his head in, because I'm sure deep down, and I get an email from him every now and again and we email back and forth, but he misses the camaraderie. Vesp. Yeah, I'm sure Vesp is like out in the North Sea, drilling for oil or whatever he does out there. And he pops his head in once in a while. But like, he used to be super active. Ask yourself, like, why is he not super active now? Because it's not the same place that it was prior to the first purge. And, Karen was saying that the original giveaways were getting out of control. They raised a lot of money for the forum, whatever. You know what it is, like, and to think that, like, the chatting makes it hard for, like, people to buy stuff from the store. I heard that idea floated. That's kind of ridiculous too. Like, there's nothing in this I've personally bought several, like 3 VanQuest bags. I bought one of them I sent to hell, but I bought 4 of the last Forum knife, the Manix 2. I have 2 of the Forum natives. I have one of the Forum, the regular Manixes. I have 2 Forum, Queen Stockman. I bought handkerchiefs. I bought Swiss Army knives. I bought all kinds of stuff there. And I would still buy stuff there. Like up until today, I would have still bought stuff there. I'm not going to contribute to it now. You know what I mean? And like before the first purge, I always had a +4, $20 every quarter supporter badge. It was like the very least I could do. I certainly got exponentially more enjoyment than, for the $20 than I was paying. And I haven't done that unless I've absolutely needed to get on buy, sell, trade. I would put up a $5 one. But all of that ultimately hurts John. So driving people who spend money on gear out of the forum is not going to help the forum store. And the problem is John doesn't have any stock in the forum store. And some of that's health related, and some of that's because he's an eccentric guy, and like whatever happens down there, I'm not 100% fully aware of it. But I've had conversations on the phone with him, and he's a sweet guy, but he's the way he sees the business aspect of it, I don't really understand. And he's tried to explain it a million times and whatever. But if you don't have stock in the forum store, to turn around and blame people's personal threads and the organic conversational nature of it as the reason why you're not selling stuff, again, I completely reject that premise. I don't know how any rational person is finding a correlation there. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, the Florida Woods Bum started a new forum, and some guys are over there, and hopefully it turns out good, and everybody can be there, and we can still have fun. And I know a lot of my friends over there have my email address, and a lot of them have my phone number, so I don't want to lose touch with anybody. I mean, honestly, I love most of you guys as much as my real life friends, and I mean, just fine folks you guys are. Makes me a little sad. In fact, I'm a little worked up at the moment. So, my first impulse was just to go to the Everyday Carry Society, and those are good guys over there too, but there's almost no gear talk over there. It's like, it's too far the other way, and I'm not sure they could ever reel that back in and make it more about gear. It's like, it's anarchy. Like, as a libertarian, I'm on the scale heading towards anarchy, but pure anarchy just doesn't work for me. I like the rule of law, and like over at the Everyday Carry Society, it's pretty much just nuts out anarchy. And again, super good folks over there. But I don't know. They say change is the only constant in the universe, so I guess we have no right to expect that everything's going to go on like it always has been. But yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer. Actually, it's a lot of a bummer. It's upsetting. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Anyway, I'm sure I have more to say about this, but I don't really see the point. At the end of the day, I'm just a voice in the wilderness. I guess I should really start sewing those gloves. Instead, I'm going to have a snack. Yeah, look at that. Trail mix. We don't really go to Walmart too often. We mostly shop at the local ShopRite or the commissary where, you get a good deal of stuff. But I had to go to the Walmart for something, and the wife's like, oh, I need confectioner sugar. So now we're going down the food aisles, and, look at it. I can't help myself. I'm just gonna have a handful. I'm gonna have to have dinner when we go home. So I'm just gonna have a handful. While I was at Walmart, I'm gonna take some pictures of it, and probably I was starting to drown in my own spit there, just thinking about my snack. I might have spittled a little bit. Fluids just come flying out of my face. That's never good on film.